Okay, so you want to refresh your kitchen, but you have the tiniest budget to do so. I am going to show you how we were able to refresh my sister's kitchen for less than $200. Now, we decided to focus on three main elements for this refinish, and that was changing the color of the cabinets, changing the color of the hardware, and adding in a natural timber element. Now, my sister loves a green moment, so she went off to Bunnings and got a whole lot of test pots and decided on the color Evergreen Fog by Sherwin-Williams that she got made up in a Taubman's base. The first step was to remove everything out of the cupboards, get the drawers outside, remove the handles, and start cleaning. Now, I used Crud Cutter. It is a degreaser and it will cut through grime, which is especially important when you are dealing with things that have come out of the kitchen. You do want to make sure that you go around with hot water though to remove any of the residue from the Crud Cutter. You don't want it sitting under your paint. It was then time to scuff sand. Now, I used 120 grit sandpaper followed by 180 grit sandpaper. And this is because my sister had painted this white gloss paint with a roller and it had left a lot of texture. It had that orange peel vibe. So you need to make sure that you knock all of that down so that you get a super smooth finish on the fronts of the cabinets. Once we had removed all of the dust, it was time to prime. Now, I did 2 coats of Zinza water-based primer using my Wagner Flexio 690W. It's a high volume, low pressure sprayer, so it gives you a really beautiful factory finish. The following day, it was time to paint, and I ended up doing a total of 3 coats of paint on these, and I sanded in between with 800 grit sandpaper. So 800 grit sandpaper is a very fine sandpaper and it will just knock out any texture, any dust that's flown into your paintwork, any little bubbles. It will just smooth it all down. You will have a buttery finish at the end. Now you can see here that I didn't actually tape these drawers off, and that's because I simply use a piece of cardboard to create a barrier between the sides of the drawers and what I'm actually painting. You could absolutely go ahead and tape everything off and use some newspaper if you are worried about overspray, but I just find doing it like that saves a lot of time. Now, this part of the plan actually evolved. Originally, it was either going to be a paneled section with a different narrower panel, or we were going to paint it entirely. But when I was prepping, I actually went down to the pine that was underneath and had a brainstorm moment, which was, what if we just took all of the paint off and did a paint wash on the timber that was underneath? So I got some paint stripper out and did a test patch, and lo and behold, it came off beautifully, bubbling up within a couple of minutes. So we were inspired to take the paint off entirely so that we could do a paint wash on these timber panels that were underneath. Whenever I need to remove paint or varnish, I always opt to use Polystrip, which is from Bunnings in Australia. You can see here down in the bottom right corner when it pans across, it's that tin, it's yellow with black and red label. I used the same product to remove the paint from the handles, and my sister had used an etch primer on these and then she had spray painted them, but you can see here how quick and easy it comes off. These handles were solid brass though, but they were a bit too gold. They were that fresh brass tone. They hadn't gotten that beautiful aged tarnish yet. So I actually went in with European gold rub and buff to give them a little bit more of an antiqued feel. Now, this timber had a strong gold orange undertone, so I actually used the Evergreen Fog in my paint wash along with Taubman's Keystone to create this beige tone and to neutralize some of that warmth. I'm applying here with a microfiber cloth, and then my sister is coming around with a t-shirt just to wipe off the excess pretty much straight away. We had been a little bit messy with the kickboards though, so we went around and refreshed those. And then it was time to seal the paint. Now, my sister wanted an ultra matte finish for these, no shine, so we opted to use Feast Watson Hard Wax in Natural. And guys, this is the end result. I think it's incredible what you can achieve in a space by just changing up the color. The Evergreen Fog has created the illusion of more height in the space. Incorporating the timber tone has added an element of warmth. And overall, the room now has some contrast and some interest, taking it from a bright white blob into a beautiful feature space. I'd love to know what you guys think, so jump in the comments and let me know if you think it's a nail or a fail.